Hello, everyone. Welcome into a very special and quick edition of 11 on 11. I want to take maybe 5 minutes just to quickly go over two big topics in the market right now. We'll start with Nvidia's earnings that are going to hit the tape in about 90 minutes. Now, I understand it's enjoying its best session in probably year to date. I'll put it up there for us in a moment. Trading right now around $97, up 2.5% going into the quarter. Now, I understand that that could be an implicit endorsement from the market that the quarter is going to be good, but that doesn't really mean there's going to be follow through. I tend to be someone who believes that when you see market participants rushing into a stock out of a quarter, that someone knows something and the quarter is going to be maybe better than we expected. But at the beginning of the week, when I thought about all the ways that the quarter could surprise us, I just don't see anything to really break us out of this range. I don't think NVIDIA is going to provide us anything that excites us that much. However, it is trading low 20s multiple. There's no reason why it can't. I just don't see why it would. I would imagine that everyone is going to be very interested in what Jensen Huang has to say about their market position. We all know that AMD has now signed a deal with Meta, actually kind of the similar deal that Nvidia and Meta signed last week. So we're probably going to want to hear a little bit from him on how he feels about Nvidia's competitive position moving forward. But again, we all know the guidance is going to be great. Again, of all the hyperscalers, if we look at their CapEx, what was expected and what came out to be the actual, it's in excess of 100 billion. And we know that a majority of that money is getting ridden to Nvidia. Maybe that's the bear case. Maybe Jensen comes on and can't give us proper guidance or guidance that's good enough. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't know where all these hundreds of billions of dollars of CapEx are going because they're not coming to us. And that would be amazing for the likes of AMD, maybe Intel, and the like. At the end of the day, though, the ultimate winner, easiest one, is TSM, and it shouldn't shock anyone that looks best. Throw that up real quick. Now, with the final 2 minutes here, or a minute or so, I want to briefly talk about the Citrini post. Basically, it is the post that got a lot of people concerned about what AI could do if it ends up being as impactful as some of the bears have been arguing for the past 3 months. What I didn't realize was that it didn't actually add anything to the conversation. I think the reason it got the attention of so many is because it is cleverly and well written. It basically starts as if it's a memo from 2030 talking about the intelligence crisis, is what he calls it, that was caused from the events going on today, and works backwards, highlighting different milestones that he makes up that seem believable if you buy where he starts the story in 2030. He admits in the forward that this isn't meant to be AI bear porn, but I think it is. If I point at my dog and I say it's a cat, that does not mean my dog is a cat. Or if I say that is not a dog, it's a dog. So let's call it what it is. The guy basically starts in 2030 with unemployment at 10%. So you have to believe that premise to even really follow him down this road. And he talks about the collapse of the white collar worker, how they'll all be disintermediated. I don't know if it's worth a read because I think it is meant to get people scared. In my opinion, I read it and I thought it was a fear-mongering post. Again, it doesn't add anything to the conversation. It just makes the argument in a more creative and unique way. And the reason I don't really believe in it 100% is because he basically talks that for the next 4 years, we are going to hit all of these negative milestones and not a single thing is going to go right, or that there won't be a single positive externality of AI. I've seen a lot of people compare this to the Greek debt crisis, which I didn't follow closely, so I won't go into now. But it also reminds me a little of Amazon destroying retail. We all thought that malls were going to be gone and retail stores would be gone. And, now we have a world where Walmart's a $1 trillion company. And of course, Amazon's disruption risk hurt a lot of companies and some didn't survive the disruption, but it wasn't an end of all retail. So when people talk about how AI and Claude is going to destroy software, I find it extremely difficult to believe given that Amazon was unable to destroy brick and mortar retail or just retail in general. The thesis that AI will eat software into nothing, I think ignores the fact that software will also get a chance to adapt. CRM, we all know it's in a terrible drawdown because it has a buy seat model. And there's an estimate that there's a lot of people that are carrying seats or licenses for CRM that aren't being used. What if CRM, Salesforce, were to change its model? None of these bear theses really take into account the potential for software to answer back. And I think that's where things get wrong. So As I look at the markets today, and I actually see there was another blog post written about how Claude is going to make a bunch of additive products for software companies. Now we're seeing a rotation back into the sector after it donated, in some cases, 30% of their market cap, depending on what company you're talking about. All right, I apologize for getting a little long-winded there, but I did want to put that all on your radar. So, in summary, Nvidia tonight, while the company is rallying into the print, I'm really not sure if they're going to be able to break out of this tight trading range. That said, valuation suggests it is possible. As for the Citrini piece, I think it's fear mongering. Maybe he didn't mean for it to be that, but when you read it, and it's just about how everything is going to go wrong for white collar workers and software companies for the next 4 years with absolutely no reprieve. How could we call it anything but doomsday and AI fear porn? That's just my take. Not to say that it isn't intelligent or that it isn't really well argued. I just think that it's definitely, whether intentionally or not, making a pathological appeal on our emotions. And that's what's speaking to us. It isn't as though he's adding a new logical component to the argument. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Wednesday with me. You can catch me again on Friday on Charts and Checks with Alvaro. Thank you all very much, and good luck out there.